Welcome to the Clown World Podcast. I got your host, Hera, along with myself, the Sergeant, today. We are bringing you podcast number 2 today. Joe Biden is racist is the name of the podcast. We're going to start it off with where we ended last time to just get everyone kind of back up to speed. Here's a little snippet.
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population y'all
do. Wow, he sounds scared to me. What is he so scared for? Gosh, he sounds like a real racist.
I don't know. Like, I was just thinking, Joe, why you mad? You mad over there? Like, what's going on?
I get it. So, I mean, even if that is the case, who cares? I don't. I mean, we are a melting pot, but not the point. The point is that's just one of the many examples dating back to the 70s of really racist, contentious things that Biden has said, and for some reason he gets a pass. You know, now Trump, he has said questionable things regarding females, and when I say questionable, I'm just going to go ahead and rephrase that. Sexist things, okay, about females, and you know, yes, he was a playboy and all that stuff. I do believe the presidency did change him. That's what the weight of responsibility for everybody will do to you. But he didn't get a pass. I mean, the media would play over and over and over and over in loops, whatever blunder he had. But when it comes to Joe Biden, it's like, shh, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. You're being mean. He's an old man. Don't talk about that. He's changed. Really? Okay. Sergeant, when was that clip from that you just played?
That was earlier this week.
Okay. So has he changed?
2021. It's 2021.
Like, it's blatant though. And that's the thing is like the people who are on this board of like social justice and anti-racism and all that stuff, I just don't understand how you can look past it. I guess there's a couple of things that come to mind. Confirmation bias, one of them. It's an absolute thing. And everybody does it. Everybody's guilty. It's where you tend to give more weight to the things that you hear that go along with what you already believe. And when you give less weight or completely ignore to the things that go against what you already believe, because it's in fact more scary to have your worldview shattered than to, you know, be wrong. That's really what it's about. That's one thing. The other thing is the media. Both sides incredibly guilty. All owned by the same like billionaire families, and they basically suppress anything they don't want the people to know, and then they'll play in loops what they are trying to convince them of. It's pure propaganda, and it's not like a new force of propaganda. This dates back centuries because it works. And so an example is when Hillary said the comment about the basket of deplorables. I've never heard more people say deplorable more in my life, ever. Like everybody started saying that word all of a sudden. And it's just like, wow, it's really that easy. And both sides are in on it. So they'll tell you what to think. They even said that. They didn't really realize that they were being recorded. Like it's our job to tell you what to think. That's not the way it used to be, guys. You know, and the other thing I could think of why Biden gets a pass is because maybe some of his voters said, you know what, I only have two choices. It's either him or Trump, and I'll take the lesser of two evils. And I question that because I'm sorry, I do not think he's the lesser of two evils. I think his whole family is messed up, and they tried so hard to cover up the Hunter Biden stuff. I have nothing against drug addicts, but I do have something against pedophiles. And your boy is one. And there's leaked pictures everywhere.
So is Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, but there's leaked pictures of Hunter with children all over, and leaked diary writings of his niece and all kinds of just really messed up stuff. And that doesn't even begin to touch the dealings with Ukraine, which they denied and called Russian propaganda before the election. And then after the election, they started coming out and they're like, well, maybe there were some dealings with Ukraine. I'm like, wait a second. Look at the article title from 2 months ago before the election. You said it's complete bogus. And now, maybe? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just soak that up like a bunch of useful idiots. Hunter. Biden.
Woosah.
How we ended up here. This guy falls asleep on camera. He falls asleep on camera, basically. And he'll get up there and try to say a sentence and he'll just like forget what was it he did that with. He was like, listen, when it comes to
that, but he's been racist his whole career, his whole political career. Let's not forget this, and we're not talking about a political career that, he's only been in office for like 10 years. He's changed his ways. He's been in office for over 40 years now. He was a senator for what, 36 years? 36 years, he's a senator, okay? Then he was vice president for 8 years. So he has 40 plus years in office. And he's been racist the whole damn time.
And what did he actually change? Like, why did people think after being in office for decades and decades that finally he was going to be the man that was going to get the job done? And then the other question is, what job are you wanting done? And I'm also going to throw this out there, Sergeant, and this is going to either make people really want to tune in or it's going to shut people out. But quite frankly, I don't care. I'm going to throw it out there. Is the man that we see now actually Joe Biden?
First of all, no, he is not Joe Biden. In my humble opinion, I don't think that's Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden has long been gone. I think Joe Biden has long been executed for crimes against humanity. I think what we are seeing now there's several possibilities here. Okay.
Lay him out.
What's sorry?
I said, lay him out. What are the possibilities for people that may not be?
One, this could be an actor wearing a mask. There's a Jim Carrey possibility. There could be a multitude of actors that are wearing a mask. Do we have the technology to do this? Yes, absolutely, 100%. If you do not agree with that, fine, whatever. I would just refer you to go watch some movies. It happens. Mission Impossible, for example. Tom Cruise does it in literally every movie. He yanks a mask off. He was Philip Seymour Hoffman in one of the in a few scenes of Mission Impossible, where he yanks the Philip Seymour Hoffman mask off. Last night, for example, okay, I watched the final episode for season 1 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And there was a digital mask on one of the characters where she was a man. And then she pulled this digital mask off, pulled it off, almost pulling like a face mask off, like a peel face mask off. And it was a woman. It was Agent Carter. We have this technology. This is not anything new. And it's, if you watch any of the interviews, it is so blatant that is not Joe Biden. His ears are like old school Joe Biden. Look at his ears. Now look at new school Joe Biden. One person's ears are detached. The other person's ears are connected to the skull. Hairline, teeth, his eyes, his nose, his jaw. He went from having he had kind of like a strong chin to now he has like a strong crooked butt crack chin. You don't go from not having a butt crack chin to having a crooked butt crack chin. Like that doesn't happen. That is not him.
Let's debunk a couple of things.
There's a theory. There's the reptilian theory that he was replaced with a reptilian. That's if you believe.
Oh,
I can get on.
Ain't ready.
They're not ready. No, they're not ready for that. I mean, I watched a video last night of a sergeant briefing his soldiers on a fight to come where they were going to be fighting reptilians. I literally watched this video last night. And honestly,
Let me interject for a second. If anybody out there
are people of faith and follow the Bible, this is not something that should be incredibly surprising because of the writings, not just in the original scripture, but also surrounding the original scripture with the original beings that were here on earth before pure man was here. And go back to the story,
right? Something like that.
And let's think about, so people use the word aliens, and they are basically aliens, something that's not, originated from Earth. So like it can be used interchangeably with like demonic things, and those kinds of beings were here long before us. The fallen ones is how sometimes they're referred to. Sometimes they mated with humans. We go back to David and Goliath. Goliath was an actual giant, and all this stuff. It's not like pulled out of thin air, but yes, like there's declassified documents are very clear about this. But even if you're not ready for that, there's other ways to describe this. So you could easily say, okay, well, Joe Biden, he got old. Of course, his
face changed, his nose changed. Noses change with age, and your eyes droop a little more, and
things happen, right? But or you can change it with plastic surgery. Those are two ways to debunk this, right? Okay. Well, I need somebody to explain this then. How on live camera, so he's like always double masking it, or and they're really tight on his face, and he had to pull down his mask to address or so that the people could understand what he was saying, and he did. And you can see that when he did, it like malformed the whatever was on his face, because one eye and one side completely started to droop. And also there's other live clips where you look at his neck, and it's like something came loose, and it's like blowing air out of the neck. It's strange. No, I'm serious. And this is
I know. That's why I'm laughing. I know.
Same thing with Fauci too. I remember looking at one. I'm like, what is his neck doing? That's not a neck. That's not, like, it's crazy. So even if that's all nonsense, there's other ways to do it, like green screens. CGI green screens, where you can basically put an image of a person and make it look very real. And they did this show with Obama and Oprah, and they were talking to each other. It looked like they were in the same room, but they were not. They were not even in the same room at all. And they did another clip of 4 different Obamas talking. They said, which one is real? Like, this was actually on a news segment. Which one is real? And they all look pretty real. And the answer was none of them. They were all computer generated using the same facial expressions, the same, formations of speech, everything, but it was computer generated. And that absolutely happens. Like when we saw the clip of Biden walking, quote unquote, walking out of his way to go answer questions from the press. And so you see someone holding a microphone up to him, and they made a little mistake in their computer generation because his hand moved towards the microphone. But what it should do is, because they're not actually touching and his hand's not over it, the microphone should have covered his hand. But what happened was the computer generation image went over the microphone. It was plain as day obvious, like it was not real. And it begs the question, what else are we seeing that is not real? And anybody that thinks that it's not possible, if you honestly believe that we have scientists that can clone certain cells, and that we can generate all of this amazing Space Force technology and all that stuff, but we don't have the technology to create a computer generated image, even though you sit there and you watch computer generated video games that look real as can be. I mean, come on, like, no, that doesn't make sense. So I don't know where Biden is, and I don't know if Hunter is even like Hunter. I don't know where. I mean, we haven't seen much of him lately, but
Where is Hunter?
Where is he? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm hoping that he is alive and can be useful, in the future, but there's some serious derangement, and it doesn't, this is not just a Democrat thing by far. The Republicans are just as disgusting. I mean, they're just as dirty.
Absolutely. But we trailed off a little bit there, but we'll rein it back in. We're sorry, we do that from time to time, but it was a very important topic that we kind of did have to touch on there. But back to the racist part.
Oh, yes.
So that was an instance from this week. I mean, during the lead up to the election, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Oh yeah, really? Then what am I then? It's weird. Like, I just all of a sudden change colors. Okay. So in that statement, enough is racist, because you're saying that in order to be black, you have to fulfill you have to fit in a box, and that's the same thing that Hollywood does to Black Americans, the same thing that racist white people do to Black Americans. Like, they take these stereotypes and they perpetuate them. They put people in a box, and if you look a certain way, you must fit in that box. Now, if you fit outside that box, then some racist people will say, oh, well, that's a good one. That's a good one. Or, you're pretty for a black girl or whatever. But then we have Biden over here doing the opposite, basically saying, get back in your box. Get back in your box. If you don't vote for me, you're not black, because you're black. You're supposed to be a Democrat. And you're supposed to soak up all my garbage, even though I really don't care much for you or other races. So it's amazing. And then these celebrities, they co-sign this, like LeBron, what are you doing? What are you doing with his tweet? He took it down, of course, because I'm sure he got like some extreme backlash.
Hold on. Before we jump on LeBron, let me just add that Joe Biden gave the eulogy at Robert Byrd's funeral. Now, I don't know if you remember, but Robert Byrd was a representative from Virginia, and he was a U.S. He was a senator from Virginia, or he was a representative. And he was a senator from Virginia, and he was also in the KKK. He was a recruiter in the KKK. And I have heard that he even made it as high as a Cyclops. So, which means he had like something like 30 to 50, 60 people under him. And Biden gave his eulogy. Hell, even Obama was at the funeral. So
make it make sense, Sergeant.
I can't, because, sweetie, we are in a clown world.
Hey, there you go.
So yeah, go ahead, take it back. Let's jump back on let's jump back on LeBron James, that makes something like $39 million a year from Nike, that his shoes are made in a sweatshop factory over in China, where they're made by women. The women are making what, 20 cents an hour, 30 cents an hour, something like that, working 70, 80 hours a week. And then, not to mention, LeBron is. Have you heard? I haven't heard anything from LeBron about the genocide that's happening in China right now with the with the Muslim, I can't enunciate this word. I always struggle with it. It's something like Uyghurs Muslims, Uighurs Muslims. It's a very minority religion in China, but they literally have them in internment camps right now, like millions of them. And
well, China owns these people. China owns Nike. China owns all of our politicians and celebrities. They're not going to speak out against that, but they sure as hell will speak out against income inequality. You know, when they're sitting there making tens and tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and having their products made by women and children in China for, you know, cents a day. But we don't want to talk about that. No, we don't. I mean, it's the audacity and Hollywood. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go on a tangent.
Do it.
Go. I'm gonna go on a tangent. Because it just irritates me so much.
Go, Doc. Go.
Every award show and every interview and I hope one of these people listens to it. Like, I swear, I hope you're hearing me, because you need to. These celebrities or, you know, entertainers or whatever, they get up there and they grandstand and they preach to the public about how we should think and believe and who we should vote for and what we should strive for. When, let's keep it real, y'all. How many of you are more educated than me? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say there are a few stars that have, you know, the level of education I do, but as a whole, none. Did y'all even go to college? No. Trade school? No. Did you finish high school? Some, probably. Do you have any skill sets in the world besides, you know, dancing like a monkey in front of the camera? No. Okay. So who are you to tell me or anyone, okay, what we should think or believe? You're not. The only place that you exist is inside my TV when I decide to turn you on. And I don't. But when I decide to turn you on and I want to see you do a little dance, okay, that's all I want from you. And the coronavirus should have taught you guys one thing, okay? It should have taught you guys that you are not essential. You're not. Since we are big on dividing people about like who's essential and who's not, who deserves to work and who doesn't. Well, you guys aren't. I mean, you're there to sing and dance. And let's say the apocalypse comes right now, you're going to be the least important people on earth because there's no other skills you have. Okay. So it bothers me when they do that. And they're so inconsistent with their beliefs. They'll get on there and talk about racism and inequality, but like they're cool with sweatshops, or they're cool with perpetuating racist stereotypes inside of Hollywood. They're cool with keeping women and people of color out of being, you know, part of production, you know, being at the top of the chain. And, you know, they absolutely abuse, use, and exploit women and children. It's like the pit of sin there. And they like think they have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of righteousness to tell anybody what to think. It blows my mind. And it bothers me. And LeBron, like, you know, I never had an issue with you. And I really don't even now. I don't.
Well,
the
let's
only
remind
thing
people, like specifically right now,
what happened?
Why we're talking about LeBron. Yeah, let's just
Oh, okay. Yeah, he tweeted something. He took it down because I'm sure he got a lot of backlash and he needs people to like him so he can continue making millions. But so we're talking about the 16-year-old, right? The context is a 16-year-old that got stabbed, or that had a knife. I'm sorry, she was shot because she had a knife and she was about ready to stab another girl. Now, both of these two girls were Black, and the police were called. They came on the scene. They saw immediately that, you know, one girl had a knife and was actively trying to attack, and they shot her. And it's tragic. This happened right before the verdict came out for George Floyd. So everybody's already in their feelings. Emotions are running high. People, including myself, got what they wanted for George Floyd. Then we hear this other story, and it's most reasonable people like are saying, wait a second, this is not the same. She was actively trying, that was like lethal force that she was trying to use. And within the bounds of their jurisdiction, they're allowed to stop it. And so he gets on there and he tweets, I can't remember exactly what it was. He said, oh, the officer that shot her, the officer that actually shot her, saving the other girl. He goes, you're next. It was almost like
hashtag accountability.
Yes, you're next. Now they took it down. So I'm over here like, okay, LeBron, I see you all the time, like escorted by police officers and bodyguards. So let's like let them back off. And if somebody comes at you with a knife, like, should we just let that happen? Because that's what you would have wanted, right? Is that how we're going to play this game? Because I'll tell you right now,
What's better, LeBum? What do you want? This officer pulls up on the scene. As he's walking up, the girl is going to attempting to stab another child. That child falls down. The girl then turns her attention to another girl. While that is happening, and she has turned her attention to the other girl, and she's in the process of heading towards her, what looks like a grown man is kicking the first child that the girl had tried to stab in the head. So the officer he had two choices, in my opinion. At that exact moment, he had two choices. He could A, pull out his taser and tase the dude, I'm just gonna call him a grown man because he was huge. He could tase that guy, or B, he could shoot the girl that is attempting to kill someone with a knife.
Yeah.
So what did he do? He did the right choice, in my opinion, in any sane person's opinion. He took door B and he shot the child. The teenager. She's 16, young lady, child. She's still a child. He shot her, okay? And he saved someone else's life. He saved a black girl's life, another black teenager's life.
I mean, really.
LeBron is calling for his head on a spike?
Yeah,
I think not. Take the police out of the equation. I walk outside. I see someone trying to stab my daughter. I don't even take a single moment to look about what they look like. If I see anybody trying to do that to my daughter, I'm same thing. And will I be sad about having to do it? Yes, afterwards. But if my daughter's alive, that's it. So if you want to talk accountability, okay. Let's hold people accountable who are actually responsible. And I already went over this in the last podcast, so like I'm not going to do the same rant. But parents, foster parents, society, teachers, the whole system, neighbors, the girl herself, maybe even the other girl who she got in the altercation with, everybody around, myself, you, Sergeant, everybody, all should be held accountable because we're all responsible for, facilitating a culture where this is okay and kids don't understand cause and effect. They don't understand consequences. They don't understand what life and death means. That's our fault. So anyway, but accountability, I just, what, LeBron, get rid of your guards. If somebody comes at you with a knife, just tell everybody not to intervene because that's what you would have wanted, right? Let's just do that. If you really want to do it, put your money where your mouth is. And on top of that, I'm just going to go ahead and say something else. I saw a tweet, or I can't remember if it was a post on Instagram or whatever, one of the jurors, or no, somebody quoted one of the jurors for the George Floyd trial. And they basically said, I voted the way I voted because I was scared of what would have happened if I didn't. I was afraid people would find me. I was afraid of things catching fire, things like that.
Their identities were leaked. So got a valid point there. He said
it though, like
out loud. And you know what that means? That means that there's a large chance because of this that there will be an appeal and a mistrial. So society, I get it. You want what's right, you want what's fair. And sometimes, yes, you have to use civil disobedience. Absolutely. If there was an act to try to take away women's voting rights, you better believe me and all the women would be out there, we'd be on strike, we'd be, doing whatever we got to do. What we would not be doing is burning down innocent businesses. We would not be killing people that had nothing to do with it. We would not be stoking the fires of hate. I wouldn't say kill all men. No. Yes, civil disobedience, fine. Protesting, fine. Do it. But when you do it to this level, where you actually invoke hatred and violence and murder, and I'm sure the comeback will be, well, they have hatred for us and violence against us. If you invoke it times 2, then you get a trial, right? People are scared to actually, see what's going on. They already know the way they're going to vote because they're afraid for their life. That's not justice. That's mob rule. And it might work against you because of that. It might work against you. So I caution everybody to look at the law and do the most that you can for fairness and equality and righteousness within the bounds of the law. And once you step outwards and you start setting things on fire, and this goes for college kids too. Hey, win a championship game, you turn cars over, you set things on fire. Guess what? You belong in jail. You belong in jail. Do that to my car, I'm gonna find you. You go to jail. Accountability across the board for everyone, every institution, and every individual. And that, I think, that's pretty much what I'd have to say today. I'm ready to take it.
I think we should wrap this one up here with that accountability for everyone, yes. Every institution. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that we are going to be able to make progress and to move forward with anything and everything.
Yep.
And otherwise,
it's just a clown world.
Yep. This is your Sergeant and Hera. We are signing off. Hera, once again, thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure, love.
Yeah, I apologize, everyone. I got a little bit hot today, but that'll happen sometimes, and other times I'll be super cool. But
hey, anyway, if you can't stand the heat, stay out the kitchen.